Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1946B, and today's date is August 18th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Investigations by OIG Completed, Facts Dominate, Deep State Scrambles. Now, before we get started, I want to talk about being prepared. Every day, we see the deep state pushing events. Who knows what the next event will be or what they will try next? We are now in a cycle of strange weather patterns, earthquakes, hurricanes, and more. Almost every American is at risk in some form. This is why I prepare with my Patriot Supply. Right now, save 50% on a 2-week emergency food kit. The 2-week food kit includes breakfast, lunches, and dinners that last up to 25 years in storage. Give yourself a peace of mind and save 50% on my special website. Preparewithx22.com. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, they are very worried. They're panicking. They see the writing on the wall. They're watching Trump very closely, and they realize that his following is not shrinking. It's getting larger and larger, and there's no way to get him out of office. Impeachment is dead. Everything that they tried failed. The election is coming up. Trump has control over the economic narrative. He holds all the cards, and everything the deep state tried failed. They're in trouble. And we know they're panicking. You can see it in their tweets. I mean, they're not running around the streets with their hands up in the air saying, oh my God, we're done for. No, that's not how they work. But you can see it in their tweets. You can see their panic when they tweet out. John Brennan, for instance. He said, "The stain Donald Trump leaves on our nation's soul should be a constant reminder that we cannot assume candidates for public office have the competence, integrity, and decency Americans deserve. In 2020, we need to elect someone to safeguard and strengthen democracy, not trample it." What he's saying right here is that they don't have anyone for 2020. They need someone, and there's no one out there. They're panicking. They see the writing on the wall. And they realize this because every time Trump has a rally, and this tweet came out right after the New Hampshire rally, they see the crowds. They see the people standing behind Trump, and they're nervous and they're afraid. Trump tweeted out the following: "Great time in New Hampshire last night. Place was maxed out, totally packed, with thousands coming in to the arena floor at start, thousands more outside that were not allowed in per code. Energy was really great to see. We will win New Hampshire in 2020. He continued, "Look at the tremendous overflow at packed arena in New Hampshire last night. Sorry we couldn't get you in. We'll be back soon." He said, "Biggest crowd ever. According to arena people, thousands outside trying to get in. Place was packed. Radical left Dems and their partner, lamestream media, saying arena empty. Check out our pictures. Fake news. The enemy of the people." Now, yes, there were pictures of some seats on the upper part empty. Now, some of those individuals came down, so they left their seats. But if you look outside, there's thousands and thousands of people. Of course, they didn't show that part. They just showed the couple of empty seats, which is kind of ridiculous. Now, the mainstream media was out there, and they reported that Trump didn't have as many people as was reported. They showed the photos and everything. But what's very interesting is that the Manchester Deputy Fire Marshal, Mitchell Caddy, said that, yes, his crowd numbered just over 11,500, saying that the arena staff said that Elton John was around 11,300 in April of 2004, and Trump beat the crowd for Elton John in this arena. The rest of the people, at least 8,000, stood outside the arena in overflow crowd area, watching the rally on jumbo TV screens. They're trying to make it look like that nobody shows up to his rallies. But those people that are there and those people that tweet out, they show the crowds outside. They show the real crowds inside, not just the empty seats, without panning down to show those people left their seats to move to a different area. They're doing this because they realize that he has control of the 2020 election. And they don't have anyone. I mean, look, Joe Biden, He drew only 30 supporters to an event held at the same time Trump's massive rally in New Hampshire. Think about it. All those candidates can't draw the same crowds. This is what they're worried about. They don't have a candidate. And everything that they've tried, all the blocks, everything, they have all failed. They don't know what to do. They're panicking, they're nervous and afraid. Plus, the Senate Finance Committee, they decided to investigate Biden. Paul Sperry tweeted out the following. Breaking. Senate Finance Committee is investigating Biden's role in facilitating Obama admin approval of Chinese government acquisition of U.S. tech company with military application, a deal Biden's son's investment firm helped arrange, presenting a major conflict of interest. It has begun. Remember when Giuliani and Trump and everyone else was tweeting out, and John Solomon, hey, look at Ukraine, look at Biden. What were they doing there? What were they doing in China? Well, here it is. The investigation is on. The mainstream media, they have no ammunition left. They are now going to push any fake narrative they can. This is what we call desperate. Sharyl Attkisson tweeted out the following, and this is in response to Sarah Carter. And let me read Sarah Carter. Read this and you'll understand what's happening in top newsrooms and why independent investigative journalism is so important. These editors are shaping narratives at the expense of truth to line their pockets and push political agendas. Very sad. Sharyl Attkisson said the following. The takeaway, the New York Times says it's mapping out a narrative in advance of any naturally occurring true news events and plans to shape all natural occurring true news events so they are reporting in the context of racism. This is what they believe their readers want. Well, I tell you what the readers really want. They want the truth. They don't want you shaping anything and creating fake information. They just want the truth and someone to really investigate, to tell them what's really going on. The New York Times is going to lose more readers by creating fake information. Trump followed up the tweet about the New York Times, and he said, the failing New York Times, in one of the most devastating portrayals of bad journalism in history, got caught by a leaker that they are shifting their phony Russian collusion narrative. The Mueller report and his testimony were a total disaster to a racism witch hunt. Journalism has reached a new low in history of our country. It is nothing more than an evil propaganda machine for the Democratic Party. The reporting is so false, biased, and evil that it has now become a very sick joke. But the public is aware. Yes, the public is waking up. They understand this. And this is going to be the mainstream media's doom. Why? Because more and more information is being dripped out to the public. This is all part of the plan. While the mainstream media is going off and creating fake news, the patriots, they're building a narrative, connecting the dots, showing facts, documentation, showing what the deep state was really doing behind the scenes. Think about it. Are you going to believe documentation signed by these individuals, text messages, videos, and everything else, or are you going to believe the propaganda from the mainstream media that says, according to our source, and they show no documentation? They show nothing. You're going to believe the hard facts, the truth compared to that. And this has been going on for quite a while now. And this is why the mainstream media is having a very difficult time. They don't realize that the fake information that was pushed to you by the intelligence organization doesn't work anymore. When you have facts, real facts coming out with documentation from the Freedom of Information Act requests, your counter move doesn't work anymore. It fails. Boom. Now, we're seeing newly released documents, which was received by Judicial Watch, related to Nellie Ohr. And it looks like the Italians have a lot of information that may be an interest to AG Barr and his investigation into the deep state. numerous individuals in Italy are suspected of having knowledge of an attempt by former President Obama to utilize the Italian intel network to set up Trump, leading to his removal from office. Former President Obama and his deep state FBI worked with foreign countries like Italy to assist in the removal of Trump from office. All indications are that Obama and his friends in the Italian intel community tried to set up Trump and individuals related to him. It is all coming out right now. I mean, look at the Hillary Clinton email saga. Did you notice something very important? The information that's coming out right now is showing that the investigation has been reopened. And the declassification of these documents, which there is a release of trove of documents late last week, which we reported on, shows what Hillary, the FBI, the Department of Justice has really done. This is from Brian Cates. He tweeted out, "The Senate Judiciary Committee has now released documents that contain information that verifies that, yes, indeed, then Secretary of State Clinton was having all her emails copied and forwarded to a Chinese company's email account." And this is from Ivan Petrikov. And it reads, "Jeanette McMillan, an attorney for the Intelligence Community Inspector General, ICIG, told Congress that this email with the same name of Chinese company appeared to serve as a live Dropbox for all of Clinton's emails." And that is carterheverindustries@gmail.com. Again, where was all this going? Now remember, this account was set up by Paul Combetta, Hillary's IT specialist who was given immunity by the FBI for no justifiable reason. This should have required more investigation by the FBI, but the FBI decided to bury the evidence instead. It's an extremely suspicious revelation that simply doesn't make sense on its face. What we do know is that Combetta was copying classified information in an unsecure email address, and the question is why? Why were they doing this, and why didn't the FBI say, hey, this is kind of strange, we need to investigate this? Because they were stopped. They were controlled. Now remember, this was all going on in 2016 before the Obama administration officially shut down the matter. While the FBI was punting on evidence, the ICIG was bringing more to the forefront. Instead of being taken seriously, they were followed and were being investigated by someone else, perhaps to find out what they knew. All of this was ignored by James Clapper and Senator Dianne Feinstein. It was ignored by everyone. The depth of the cover-up involved in Hillary's email illegality is absolutely breathtaking. The lengths they went to and the amount of people who were working to shift priorities and bury evidence seems almost inconceivable. Yet, we have the government documentation proving these things actually really did happen. It's not just someone out there just saying it. It's documented. And this is what the public is going to receive. Documentation, hard facts. Now we've learned, and we all knew this, but the public has learned that Mueller lied about Joseph Mifsud. Now remember, everything that we've been talking about in the past is coming true in the future, and this is being brought out into the public domain, and now the public that hasn't been following this, they are hearing this. Think about this. They're waking up. Investigative reporter John Solomon joined Maria Bartiromo on Sunday Morning Futures, and they had a discussion about Joseph Mifsud. And John Solomon had some huge news that he dropped, that Robert Mueller lied in their final report on operative Joseph Mifsud. Mifsud was not a Russian operative, as the Mueller report claimed he was. Mifsud worked for Western intelligence, and now his attorney has confirmed this. Take a listen to what John Solomon had to say.
Been on this program, and he told me directly on this show that Mifsud was the guy that they wanted him to meet in Italy. He had this job at the Center for Law, International Law, and they said, oh, don't quit yet to go work for Trump. We want to send you to Rome. We want you to meet Mr. Joseph Mifsud. That is the individual who told him Russia has emails of Hillary Clinton. Why is that important, John?
Well, I interviewed Mr. Mifsud's lawyer the other day, Stefan Rowe, and he told me, and he also provided some deposition evidence to both Congress and myself, that his client was being directed, had long worked with Western intelligence, and he was being directed specifically, he was asked to connect George Papadopoulos to Russia, meaning it was an operation, some form of an intelligence operation. That was the lawyer's own words for this. If that's the case, that means that the flashpoint that started the whole investigation was in fact manufactured from the beginning.
Boom. The truth is now out there. As time goes on, as you can see, more and more facts are being brought into the public domain. The deep state, the mainstream media, they're going to have to deal with this. How are they dealing with it? Well, they're creating their fake racism stories while the facts are being brought out to the public. People are going to question this. People are going to say, why isn't the mainstream media reporting on this? Now, some of them will try to spin it. But as more and more of this comes out, they will not be able to handle all this. Now, it looks like the investigations by the OIG is coming to a close, which means something big is about to happen. Move Forward tweeted out the following. Several investigations by OIG are no longer listed ongoing work. This would indicate they are completed. FISA abuse, FBI misconduct, FBI confidential human source program, FBI's covert contracts. So everything is starting to wrap up. And we're going to hear a lot of this being dropped out to the public. And very, very soon, this information will be brought out by Bill Barr. And this is when the fireworks start. Let's move on to Epstein. And it looks like the Epstein story has not gone away. Now, we all know that Epstein did not commit suicide. He didn't hang himself from a sheet. All these doctors are out there saying, I've never seen anything like this. This doesn't make sense. There wasn't enough force to crack that bone. And there's certain individuals, like the attorneys, that want more information. I'm talking about Epstein's attorneys. We'll be getting into that in just a sec. But what's very interesting is that Prince Andrew, he was caught in this video inside Jeffrey Epstein's mansion 9 years ago, where he said that he had nothing to do or didn't have sex with this individual. Now, the footage of the Duke was taken less than an hour after Epstein left the house with a young blonde woman. Epstein's alleged sex slave, Virginia Roberts, claims she had sex with Prince and the financier at the New York home. And of course, Prince Andrew denied this, but now these pictures are showing that, it seems like he's caught in a lie, and the timing is absolutely right. So again, it's starting to fall apart. Remember, Epstein was the poster child. It's all these individuals and the actual organization that runs all of this. That's what they're after. Now, we know that the FBI is down at his island. They're looking at his Manhattan residence, and they're also looking at the Zorro Ranch in New Mexico. Now, I do believe that a lot of this that we're seeing is part of the show. I do believe that the Patriots have already collected a lot of this evidence, and they're just going and cleaning up and getting what else they have there. But I believe that most of it was electronic that they do have. And they already had this evidence a long, long time ago, because as we know, Sessions started the investigation, and this has been going on for quite a while. Now, Epstein's lawyers, they're saying, listen, we're going to challenge the autopsy results. We would like to view the prison videos themselves. Now, the MCC prison staff, they're not helping the investigators whatsoever. They're saying we're not going to be helping. We're not going to honor any requests. And who knows, they probably already deleted the video. Remember, this was pre-planned, and they knew that they were going to ask for this information. You think the videotapes are just sitting there waiting for someone to discover it? Maybe. I highly doubt it. But this isn't the important part. The important part is to take down the entire operation and those involved in it. Remember, this is about exposing the reputation of those individuals involved in this because this matches up with the D-class FISA and everything else. Now, the crackdown is continuing in regards to child exploitation. 4 men from the United States and Canada were sentenced on August 9th for their roles in a global child exploitation enterprise. And these individuals had a website called the Gift Box Exchange. And they had about 72,000 members and 56,000 posts when it was shut down in November 2016. And it looks like the Department of Justice cracked down on this, and these individuals have been arrested. And these are part of the sealed indictments, which are now becoming unsealed. Let's head on down to the border because the mainstream media likes to say that the wall's not being built, but the wall is being built. Roger Ogden of Patriot Fire videos, you can see this on YouTube. He put out a new video in California showing that, yes, the wall is being built. And it's being built across the southern border. And as we know, this is going to ramp up and a lot more of it is going to be built. Now, of course, the mainstream media is trying to pretend that nothing's happening, but what they're doing is they're taking down these ridiculous barriers that were there before, and they're replacing them with a real wall. And that is a new wall because those barriers did nothing else before. Soon, they'll be moving on to where they'll be building a brand new wall where it never even existed, but they're hitting the hot spots first. And this is going to save every American money. Charlie Kirk tweeted out the following. Do the math. At the most, the wall will cost $20 billion. Even if it costs $50 billion. Illegals cost U.S. taxpayers $165 billion a year. The wall is not going to be costing $20 billion a year. Think about this for a sec. So it's going to save everyone money. But remember, the agenda for the wall is to stop human trafficking, drug trafficking, having the deep state receive funding from their operation bringing illegals over. It's also going to cut down on these illegals voting illegally in the United States. And this wall, the agenda of the wall, is to shut down the deep state. Now, I want to go to this tweet that Trump retweeted. This is from Maria Bartiromo. And this has to do with Lindsey Graham. She was interviewing Lindsey Graham. And Lindsey Graham said that the OIG investigation into Russia probe, I want the American people to see what happened. Now, Trump retweeted this on purpose because they're going to show the American people, when it's time, what actually happened. They're getting prepared and ready. This is why they've been dripping out the information. Now, I like to go back to post 3411 because this really sums up what is going on now in the United States with the deep state and everything else. This is the post. You are witnessing the greatest coordinated misinformation attack campaign ever to be launched against the public, all in an effort to protect themselves from prosecution, public exposure, and regain power control. Attempted removal of the duly elected president of the United States by illegal manufactured means they believed they could win con public support by controlled assets, media, tech, Hollywood. These controlled assets set out to immediately create division through the use of pre-designed misinformation campaign. Groups such as Antifa were funded and formed to prevent or lessen the appeal for regular hardworking Americans to gather and express non-narrative viewpoints. Control of this projected narrative depends primarily on the ability to con the masses into thinking they are the majority. The mindset of most. If the majority of the people believe this, then this must be more true than that. Without public support, they are powerless. We the people hold the power. United, we are strong. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles, and organizing its power in such form, as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that government long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, And accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. You are witnessing right now the systematic destruction of the old guard and the people regaining control. Think about what the mainstream media is doing. Think about Hollywood. Think about Epstein. Think about what you are seeing. The Patriots, what do they have as their weapon? Truth, facts, documentation. What does the deep state have? Emotions, propaganda, and other individuals within Hollywood and other places pushing that same narrative. In the end, who do you think is going to come out the winner? The propaganda, the fake news, or the documentation, the truth, the facts? The truth, the facts will always win. It will always shut down propaganda. You can't argue with facts because they are the facts. It's the truth. You would have to present something to make the argument, but there's nothing to present. That's the problem. The Patriots are in full control. What you're hearing right now in the mainstream media is them panicking. It's emotions. Their emotions make them scream, call the president names, calling anyone names. This is what children do when they're caught doing something wrong. And actually, adults are children also. When they're caught with their hand in the cookie jar, what do? They scream, they yell, they tell you it wasn't me. This is what's going on right now. The Patriots sit calmly with the truth, with the facts, with everything. They can wait this out. They can let the enemy scream, yell, put out articles. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the Patriots. The Patriots are confident. They understand what they have. They understand how this information, these facts, they understand how it's going to change the entire world once they present them. And it doesn't matter when they present them. They will time it right. But they know once they do, they've won. That's why the Patriots don't panic. That's why the Patriots don't scream back. That's why the Patriots stand steady, ready to act. Nothing is going to stop this. Nothing. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.